What the?
A single footprint can be dismissed. A trail of them? That's a different story. What if those tracks didn't just vanish into the wilderness, but led straight to the very creature they belonged to? For decades, the legend of Bigfoot has been carried on whispers, blurry photos, and tantalizing scraps of evidence. But sometimes the trail is more than a metaphor. It's real, visible, and fresh. From the snow-packed ridges of the Himalayas to the dense forests of North America, witnesses have stumbled upon prints so massive and distinct they could only belong to something extraordinary. In this investigation, we follow one such trail step by step, examining the size, depth, and stride of the prints, tracing their path through remote terrain, and uncovering the chilling moment when those tracks led to a face-to-face encounter. Let's dive into one of the most iconic and elusive beings in modern folklore, Bigfoot. Over the years, countless hoaxes, doctored videos, and fabricated tales have clouded the truth. But this video isn't about sensationalism. It's not just about scattered footprints or grainy sightings. It's about peeling back the layers of myth to uncover what might really be out there. The idea of giant human-like creatures isn't new. Back in the 1930s, fossil hunters made a startling discovery: giant teeth that bore an uncanny resemblance to ours. At first, some believed they belonged to massive prehistoric humans, but further study revealed something far more intriguing. These teeth belonged to Gigantopithecus, the largest ape known to have ever walked the earth. Standing an estimated 10 feet tall and weighing over 1,000 pounds, this colossal primate roamed what is now China for nearly 2 million years before going extinct around 100,000 years ago. Closely related to the orangutan, Gigantopithecus thrived in dense forests, feeding on a specialized diet that may have made it vulnerable as climates shifted. As temperatures cooled and resources dwindled, this giant disappeared. But its existence leaves us with a haunting question. If a creature like this once walked the earth, is it truly impossible that something similar could have survived in remote corners of the world?
Skeptics often argue that if Bigfoot were real, there would already be undeniable proof. But what if some of that proof already exists, quietly dismissed, misidentified, or buried under a cloud of ridicule? Before diving into history's most iconic cases, we need to understand the value of a single footprint in cryptid research. A footprint is more than a mark in the mud. It's a biological signature, a potential gateway to species identification, behavior patterns, and even evolutionary connections. One of the most famous pieces of alleged Bigfoot evidence is the Patterson-Gimlin film from 1967, showing a large bipedal hairy figure striding through a California forest. Detractors insist it's nothing more than a man in a suit, but believers point to the creature's gait, limb proportions, and muscle movement as signs of authenticity. Science often turns to misidentification as the simplest explanation. Bears, particularly black bears, can stand and even walk short distances on 2 legs. Studies have shown a correlation between black bear populations and Bigfoot sightings, suggesting that many supposed encounters could be nothing more than mistaken identity. And then there's the problem of hoaxes. The original Bigfoot tracks discovered in 1958, tracks so influential they gave the creature its modern name, were later revealed as a prank. But for every exposed hoax, there remain cases where the evidence defies easy explanation.
Bigfoot tracks are typically described as massive, sometimes reaching an astonishing 24 inches in length. Some casts even reveal claw-like impressions, hinting at the possibility of another species entirely. In the field of cryptozoology, the controversial study of creatures whose existence is unproven, such evidence fuels both obsession and skepticism. Whether you believe or not, one thing is certain: the search for Bigfoot is as much about challenging what we think we know as it is about the creature itself. And sometimes, the truth is hiding in plain sight, etched deep into the earth, waiting to be found. We begin our investigation deep in the heart of Bigfoot territory, with none other than ex-military survivalist Russell Accord. Russell is no stranger to the wilderness, the unforgiving Oregon wilderness. He's trained to read landscapes, detect subtle changes, and spot what others might overlook. But on this particular day, something stops him dead in his tracks. While investigating a remote sandbar, Russell discovers what appears to be a set of extremely large, human-like footprints. The size alone is enough to send a rush of adrenaline through him. With the assistance of Bigfoot investigators Ronnie LeBlanc and Dr. Mireya Mayer, The team prepares to analyze and create a precise 3D model of the footprint.
Oh my, look at this. Holy, look at that. That is a footprint.
Could this be the evidence that finally proves the existence of Bigfoot? The environment is tense and strangely silent. Russell admits he's getting goosebumps as he scans the area. And then, he finds it. A massive footprint embedded in the sand. Something has moved through here, he says, leaning closer. Holy, look at that. That is a footprint. The heel appears to have struck the ground before rolling onto the toes in a natural stride. And it's not alone. Another massive print lies just ahead. What I found here is incredible, Russell tells the others over the radio. These prints are about 18 inches long. I've not seen another human for days. These don't belong here. Ronnie and Maria immediately agree to come and inspect. Send us your coordinates and we'll be there first thing tomorrow morning, Maria responds.
That's insane. Oh, look. There's another big one. There's a set. Zach, there's bigger tracks. What I found on that sandbar are footprints 18 inches long. What else would make a footprint like that? I've not seen humans for days. It's out of place. Does not belong here in this space. This is like the gold standard of what you hope to find in your research.
The next day they arrive on site. As Russell leads them to the find, he points out something even stranger. These prints are fresh, likely from the previous night. They appear to come directly out of the water, toes crystal clear in the sand, before moving up the bank. The odds of a person walking through here barefoot are almost non-existent. And then comes the showstopper, an even larger print partially obscured but still enormous in scale. The tracks lead toward the water with an impressive stride length. Measurements confirm it, just over 5 feet between steps. More telling is the alternating left and right impressions, indicating upright bipedal movement. This is the gold standard of what you hope to find in your research, Maria says.
If you look in the water behind it, looks like an impression in the water back here. Ooh. This thing literally appears to have come out of the water and onto this bank. These toes are crystal clear.
Oh my God.
Look at where we are right now. What are the odds of somebody walking through here with bare feet?
Right.
And look just above it.
The plan is clear. Scan the footprints using a high-precision 3D scanner, collect DNA samples from the impressions, and determine where the creature came from, or where it was heading. Russell assures the team the prints have not been touched since discovery.
All right, let's get started.
Yeah, this is incredible. There's a good chance we're gonna see dermal ridges on this thing. There's a good chance that Maria's gonna pull some DNA from the footprint. I feel like a kid in a candy store right now. This is awesome.
It's amazing how you can now pack a piece of tech like this in your backpack and be able to implement it in the field. And this is something that gives us such an edge because here we have a print that will very quickly disintegrate with the weather condition.
The scanning process begins. The equipment, capable of capturing details with an accuracy of 0.04 millimeters, half the width of a human hair, renders a perfect digital replica of the footprint. Dermal ridges, arch structure, and toe definition all begin to appear on screen. In the world of paleontology, entire species have been reconstructed from just a few bones. Here, the team has something arguably more telling, a fresh print preserved in astonishing detail.
Whatever it was came from this direction, so that's where I'm going. Whoa, look at this. Something heavy and big is stepping up and down through this because all of the soil is displaced. And I'm seeing this path definitely going right down that line. You can clearly see something's trampling through here. This looks like a good little spot to have a trail cam.
As the scan completes, Russell decides to track the print's path. He finds evidence of something large moving through the undergrowth, soil displaced, vegetation crushed. The trail leads to a spot that would be ideal for a trail camera, hinting that the creature may be returning to the area for food or water.
This is all clear for you. If you're ready, you can go ahead and pour.
Boy, this stuff is drying quickly.
Russ, when you're done with that, you gotta take a look at this.
I cannot wait to see what you got.
Check this out.
Wow, you can see toe separation in there.
Yeah, you can. Very clear arch.
Holy smokes.
Hey, guys.
You are just in time.
Really?
Yeah.
Check this out. This is awesome.
Holy.
What she got on the scanner there. That blows my mind.
So between this and that, I think we've really covered this.
The casts are poured, preserving the physical impressions for further study. As the plaster sets, the scan results are reviewed again. Look at the separation between the toes, Ronnie points out, and the arch. This isn't a boot. This isn't a bear. This looks like a foot. Russell can't help but feel the weight of the moment. Think about everything that brought us here. Tracks, vocalizations, thermal images. Now we have prints, real, tangible evidence. The team decides to call in Bryce, their expedition coordinator, to focus resources on this find. With advanced scanning data, physical casts, and possible DNA samples, they finally have multiple layers of evidence to analyze.
Well, let's measure.
Yeah, we'll measure.
Nearly 16.
16 inches.
Wow.
Yeah, that's definitely worth taking a closer look.
Do you see behind me right here on this backside? There's a trail that comes out of this thick,
Oh, yeah.
and it goes up that embankment. It was dark last night when I came across these. I did not go up in here and do any more investigating.
Footprints have a way of telling a story, so I think that this was a really good find.
This discovery comes with days left in the expedition, a rare opportunity to focus all efforts on this one hotspot. They now have a location where something large and bipedal has clearly been moving. The team agrees to establish a base camp nearby and begin a concentrated search. The day ends with cautious optimism. The wilderness holds its secrets tightly, but for the first time in this mission, the team feels they might be closer than ever to uncovering one of the greatest mysteries in North American legend. If these prints truly don't belong to any known creature, then somewhere in these forests, something remarkable and very real still walks among us.
Think about all the stuff that brought us to this point. We've been chasing tracks, we've been chasing vocalizations, thermal imaging. We've got a few more days left. I think we should just focus our attention here, set up a base camp, start canvassing this area.
We need to call Bryce.
Cryptozoology, the study of such unproven creatures, walks a fine line between science and folklore. While mainstream researchers dismiss it as pseudoscience for lacking rigorous methodology, the search persists, fueled by a human desire to believe in the unknown. And that search now takes us to one of the most remote and wild places in North America, the forests of British Columbia. Before diving into the Bigfoot mystery, it's worth stating, this isn't about blindly believing every sighting. Many watching lean on logic, demanding hard evidence. That's why we turn to researchers who dedicate their lives to separating fact from fiction. One of them is Jennifer Marshall, a U.S. Navy veteran turned private investigator. She calls Bigfoot the holy grail of the zoological world. Known as Sasquatch in Native American tradition, this towering bipedal creature, often described as 8 to 10 feet tall, has fascinated and divided people for decades. The modern Bigfoot phenomenon began in 1958, when giant footprints were discovered in Northern California. Less than a decade later, the Patterson-Gimlin film shook both believers and skeptics. Debate over its authenticity still rages, and now new evidence is emerging.
My name's Jennifer Marshall, U.S. Navy veteran turned private investigator. Now, I'm on the trail of the holy grail of the zoological world, Bigfoot. Also known as Sasquatch, the 8 to 10 foot tall bipedal creature is said to be part ape, part human. Bigfoot is a mystery that just won't die. Decades of reports suggest it exists.
Jennifer's next lead takes her to British Columbia. Podcaster Andrew Sanford contacts her with high-resolution footage and an invitation to join him on an expedition. Andrew's fascination began in childhood. "I swear I heard something that sounded like a Bigfoot call," he recalls. While Jennifer remains skeptical, she acknowledges the cultural weight of Bigfoot legends, especially those rooted in Native history.
I received a call from podcaster Andrew Sanford, who needs help investigating a Canadian researcher who claims that he has high-resolution videos of the legendary creature.
I've had a lifelong infatuation with cryptozoology, and honestly, that all started with Bigfoot. When I was younger, I swear that I heard something that I thought was a Bigfoot call, and since then I've just been on this quest to find anything else.
Andrew's source is Todd Standing, a man who claims to have filmed living Sasquatches. His footage, astonishingly clear, shows massive human-like figures in their habitat. He invites them to his research area. British Columbia's wilderness is vast and impenetrable, ideal for something to hide for generations. Meeting Todd and his research partner Ashley, the team is shown videos of two individuals, Jane, a weathered-faced female, and Jake, a towering 8 feet 6 inch male. Todd insists experts have cleared the footage of manipulation. Jennifer compares Todd's work to the Patterson-Gimlin film. Todd is convinced that film is genuine and recounts filming a Sasquatch blinking at 80 yards, a detail he argues is nearly impossible to fake.
Same as the older males do, but the males have all this facial hair, and the females don't seem to.
This reminds me of the Patterson-Gimlin film. Do you think that the Patterson-Gimlin film is a fake?
Yeah, absolutely not. I'm firmly convinced after reviewing the evidence and working with the PhD colleague, Dr. Jeff Meldrum from Idaho State University, that footage is absolutely authentic.
We actually got to see that Sasquatch blink. And Todd said he was about 80 yards away just using a close-up lens, but that's still like a crystal clear video. And to have it be comfortable with his presence, it was pretty stunning.
Todd leads them to a preserved footprint site. The impressions are deep, wide, and far larger than a human foot, laid out in a left-right walking pattern with a mid-toe joint bend.
There's 2 tracks here. Okay, this is me hammering that, okay? See if you can feel mine, and see if you can feel this bigger, wider, heavier track.
Yeah, that's definitely a Todd shape.
Sure.
Oh yeah, and my foot doesn't even fit in that.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
You feel that?
Yeah.
Nearby, Todd points out an X-shaped structure made from fallen branches. In his research, it signals "do not pass." He's left apples there, claiming they've been taken without signs of disturbance from bears or other animals.
And what this means from my research is don't go past it. So I've been putting apples up on it. And that tells me that this is a thinking being, and they were probably watching you put the apples up. So you understand the level of their intelligence, and that's why they easily evade human beings. A bear would never come and leave 2 apples.
Jennifer remains cautious. It's a process of elimination, she notes. If the apples are gone and no known animal left tracks, Todd attributes it to a Sasquatch. Todd also shows a high tree break he says could not be caused by wind or snow. Intrigued, Jennifer contacts Dr. Jeff Meldrum, a PhD in anthropology who has worked with Todd and evaluated his evidence. That night, the team sets up for an overnight watch. Ashley sleeps in a camper where she claims to have seen a Sasquatch. Andrew monitors thermal imaging, scanning the tree line. Hours pass in silence, until a faint human-shaped heat signature appears and then vanishes. The signature could be anything, or something extraordinary. The isolation here is absolute, the forest vast and concealing. Todd insists they are being watched, describing the creature's intelligence, their skill at tracking, and ability to mimic animal calls. Jennifer thanks Todd and Ashley, planning to return the next day. Andrew reflects, "This might be my only chance in my life to see a Bigfoot." In the days ahead, the investigation will expand to include newly released surveillance footage from Washington State. Could it be Bigfoot's ancestor? Out here, in endless wilderness, it's easy to believe some truths remain beyond human discovery. Whether Bigfoot is one of them, that's what keeps the search alive. 18 inches wide, far exceeding the size of any human footprint. They looked nothing like a bear's track or the print of any familiar creature. The soldiers did what many of us would do today. They documented their find and posted it on the official Indian Army Twitter account. The tweet read, "We have found the Yeti," and the reaction was immediate. The scientific and cryptozoological worlds erupted in debate.
32 inches long by 15 inches wide, which is significantly beyond what any normal human footprint should look like.
Tales of the Yeti, this mythical beast of the high mountains of Asia and Siberia, have existed for thousands of years. Descriptions paint it as a large, towering, fanged, bipedal creature covered head to toe in hair, with features of both ape and human. The earliest recorded mention comes from the 4th century BCE. In 326 BCE, as Alexander the Great attempted to conquer the Himalayas, he heard stories of a wild man of the snows and sent troops to find it. They failed to capture any such creature, but the legend persisted. In Tibetan folklore of the 7th century CE, the Yeti was known as the glacier beast, a wild, hairy man of the mountains. In some religious beliefs, it was even seen as a god of the forest, protector of animals and sacred peaks, sometimes shy and elusive, other times dangerous to intruders.
Everyone pretty much agrees that it exists. Some cultures feature him as feral and aggressive and dangerous, and others describe it more as shy or even mischievous.
The modern fascination began in the late 19th century. In 1899, Scottish explorer Lawrence Waddell described finding unusual tracks at 17,000 feet and being told by his guides they belonged to the wild, hairy man of the eternal snows. In 1921, explorer Charles Howard Berry spotted giant prints at 20,000 feet and saw, through binoculars, a massive figure moving against the snow. His guides called it the Mito Kangmi. A reporter later mistranslated Mito as filthy, and thus the abominable snowman was born.
When he asks his guides, okay, so what am I seeing here? They also have an answer for him. The wild man of the snows.
The Himalayan range stretches over 1,500 miles across 5 countries, and any one of them could hold the key to the mystery. In China, legends of wild men eventually coalesced into the story of the Yeren. Some tales depict them as dangerously strong creatures that could embrace a human and crush them before eating them. Some researchers believe these myths could be rooted in a real ancient species. In 1935, Dutch anthropologist Ralph von Koenigswald found a massive molar in a Hong Kong medicine shop, sold as a dragon's tooth. Recognizing it as a primate tooth, he identified it as belonging to Gigantopithecus, the largest ape known to science, 10 feet tall and weighing up to 1,200 pounds.
Filled with joy at coming upon you, that they will bear hug you and pass out from excitement, and you'll fall to the ground with them because they're so strong you can't get away. And then when it wakes up, it eats you.
Fossils show that Gigantopithecus lived in what is now China and Tibet over 2 million years ago, and is thought to have gone extinct about 250,000 years ago. However, some believe small populations may have survived in the remote high-altitude regions of China, Tibet, Bhutan, and Siberia, evolving into what we now call the Yeti.
After he examines this plaster cast, he determines this could not have been made by a bear. It had to be made by a very large bipedal hominid, and he determines that it is likely the Gigantopithecus.
In the 1950s, a British zoologist examined photographs of large footprints taken by explorer Eric Shipton and concluded they were not made by a bear, but by a large bipedal hominid, possibly Gigantopithecus. In 1977, American anthropologist Grover Krantz suggested a small tribe of these apes could still survive in the Himalayas. Skeptics point out that fossil evidence for Gigantopithecus is sparse, making it difficult to prove such a survival. Without a complete skeleton, the idea remains speculative. Yet the combination of ancient folklore, modern sightings, and mysterious physical evidence keeps the debate alive. Could the Yeti be a remnant of a species that once roamed alongside our ancient ancestors? Or is it a myth born from fear, reverence, and the isolation of the world's highest peaks? The truth may still be out there, somewhere in the endless snowfields and hidden valleys of the Himalayas, waiting for someone brave enough to follow the trail to its end. There are countless sightings on the internet, many of them faked, many of them obvious hoaxes, but some stand apart, footage that simply cannot be recreated or explained away. And now, it's time to step into the technical realm. No folklore, no campfire tales, just footage, anatomy, and boots-on-the-ground fieldwork. One group leading this charge is RMSO, Rocky Mountain Sasquatch Organization. Their mission is simple: investigate, document, and share authentic encounters. We've followed the trail through the Himalayas, but now we head somewhere very different, the Eastern Sierras. Bill, an outdoorsman, reached out to RMSO with a startling video. Recorded in May at an elevation of nearly 10,000 feet, it captures a moment so quick that most would miss it without careful review. Bill recalls, "Everything happened in the first 10 seconds. If you enlarge the far left of the video, you'll see it, walking rapidly behind the trees through the snow. It hides in a thick tree, then squats and opens branches just as I pan away to film my dogs." RMSO analyzed the footage, enlarging the subject by 400% and slowing it down. The figure moves with an uncanny smoothness, very little vertical motion, the kind you'd expect from a human stride. It has a dome-shaped head, long arms, and dark fur that looks entirely natural. What's most unsettling is its behavior. When in the open, it moves quickly, but once in cover, it stops, crouches,
and appears to observe Bill and his dogs. Why would a hoaxer, dressed in a heavy suit, act this way, hidden, patient, and watchful? This wasn't just a fleeting shadow. It was calculated, purposeful, and in the heart of a region known to be a Sasquatch hotspot.
Recreating, why would I hide in the thick cover of the trees, appearing to observe Bill and the dogs from cover? It's as if this Bigfoot creature, if you will, moved very fast when it didn't have much cover. Then when it made it to cover, it seemed to hunker down to hide.
Another remarkable submission to RMSO takes us back a few years. In 2019, Adam Garrett from Habersham County, Georgia, captured an image on his game camera that continues to stir discussion in the Bigfoot community. The photograph shows a towering, broad-shouldered figure partially obscured by the trees. A camping trailer in the frame provides a clear sense of scale. This creature is massive, both in height and build. Its sheer size alone sets it apart from any known local wildlife. But it's when you zoom in on the face that things become even more intriguing. The features don't quite match a gorilla, yet they're far from purely human. The nose is broad, the brow pronounced, and the eyes set deep, giving the impression of something that exists between two worlds, a blend of ape and man. There's no sign of clothing or gear, just a dense covering of dark fur. The proportions, stance, and facial structure make it hard to dismiss as a bear or any other known animal in the region. For Adam, and many who have studied the image since, this is one of the most compelling pieces of Bigfoot evidence to surface in recent years. What if I told you that nearly every argument skeptics use to deny Bigfoot's existence has already been dismantled, by science, by credible evidence, and by countless eyewitness accounts they refuse to acknowledge? From massive footprints to high-definition photographs, thermal imaging captures to DNA analysis, and even centuries-old legends echoed across cultures, the body of evidence is simply too vast to dismiss. The sheer number of sightings, the striking consistency in descriptions, and the recurring patterns found in remote, untouched wilderness all point toward one conclusion: something is indeed out there. Time and again, hardened skeptics have found their doubts shaken after encountering evidence firsthand. Many who once laughed at the idea now find themselves looking at the forest differently, wondering if those shadows hide something ancient, intelligent, and elusive. The search continues, but for many, belief has already taken root.
Imagine being in the middle of nowhere, Dry Fork, a remote area of wilderness tucked deep in America's heartland. No traffic, no towns, just tall trees.
Dry Fork. We were here about 6 weeks ago in the Red Cloud area. We found a couple of bedding spots that looked like some large.
Miles of silence, and a sky so dark that it makes you feel like it is trying to keep secrets. But to the Red Cloud team, that silence was anything but peaceful. They weren't hikers, they weren't campers. They were investigators in the world of unexplained encounters. On this trip, it wasn't ghosts or UFOs they were chasing. It was something far more dangerous.
You know, you got to be out there looking for Bigfoot in almost all conditions, I believe. And it was extremely cold last night.
Bigfoot. It began like most of their expeditions, silent and calm. A bit too quiet. Cameras rolled, flashlights swept the underbrush, and radios came to life with check-ins. But the deeper they went into Dry Fork, the more the woods changed. The energy, the pressure, the pure weight of the place. Something was off. Then, the howls began.
Could have been, could have been. Sure sounded like one.
They were not coyotes, not wolves. These were deep, guttural, and loud enough to shake the trees. Each one sent a fresh jolt of fear through the crew member's spine. It wasn't just the sound, it was the feeling behind it. As if something massive was telling them not to come closer. And then, something moved.
I know there's a lot of guys out there that would film that and say that's a suspect Bigfoot activity, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say...
Caught in the camera's low-light feed was a figure, tall, broad, and fast. Too fast. It ducked behind a tree just as the cameraman spun around. Nothing. Just thick bushes and pitch black beyond the limit of their lights. But the forest wasn't done.
Because that root system has to get a certain size before it starts sending up the really good shoots.
And asparagus is so long-lived.
Rocks began to fall near the group. Not natural, not gravity. Thrown, purposefully, from the trees.
Remember when we went up there and I found those ones last year? I cooked all those ones up and they were excellent.
Well, I know that those morels smell really good.
The crew froze in shock. You can hear it in their voices. Half adrenaline, half fear. Someone observed that this seemed like they were being hunted. No one could be heard laughing it off. That's when one of the investigators caught it with night vision.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh. He was going to town on this tree. Wow.
A towering shadow, partially blocked by a bush, standing still. Watching. Not running away or trying to hide. Watching.
If we find anything on those cameras, like I said before, we will show them at the end of this video. Keep on watching. We're going to keep on squatting.
Do you see that? Someone asked, breathless. The camera zoomed in on a grainy but unmistakable image. A broad shape, shoulders are too broad, and glowing eyes reflecting the infrared. It wasn't blinking. The team moved away slowly, respectfully.
On it and see a Bigfoot. Chances are by the time I get my camera up and zoomed in, so I might as well be hunting with it on the other end of the camera.
No one wanted to run, in fear that it might start following or hunting them. You don't run from a predator, especially not one that's been here long before we showed up.
We're gonna do night investigation, and then tomorrow we're gonna hike in and pick up our game cameras.
The rest of the night, quiet, dead quiet, too quiet. And that's what scared them most. Back at camp, the team reviewed the video, each clip darker than the last, and each one raising more questions than answers.
See it? Yep. Multicolored. You got grays and browns going from gray.
What had followed them? What had stalked them through Dry Fork? And more importantly, was it still out there waiting for them? One thing's for sure, they went looking for answers and instead found something far more real than a myth.
These are old.
Way old.
But they're big.
This video was shared by the Rocky Mountain Squatch YouTube channel, shared by someone named Kenneth. The morning was calm, too calm.
At the end of the video, I was walking through camp early morning when I felt like someone or something was watching me up on the ridge.
Kenneth, walking through his campsite by Carson River, felt a strange feeling of being watched. It was a guess, an instinct that most of us would ignore. But Kenneth's gut told him otherwise. Up on the ridge, something didn't feel right.
So he zoomed up in there with his cell phone video, obviously, and...
So he pulled out his cell phone, zoomed in on the area, and began recording. Little did he know, he was about to capture something extraordinary. It started off normal, as most strange encounters do. The camera zoomed in, panning slowly across the ridge. At the far edge of the frame, something moved. A hulking figure, muscular and broad, stood there, seemingly frozen for a moment. It was so tall, so imposing, that at first it seemed like it was completely out of place in the wild.
I wanted to show you zoomed before I stabilized it, because sometimes it's a little clearer. I mean, he's zooming way up there with his cell phone. There's the...
And then, in a crazy moment that left Kenneth frozen, it reached up with one arm, grabbed hold of the tree and pulled itself up smoothly. What was strange wasn't just the creature's size. It was how fluidly it moved.
A football player-sized person with all their pads and everything on and hoist themselves up into a tree. All right, I'm going to play it.
Despite its size, the figure hoisted itself up the tree like it had done it 1,000 times before. Impossible for a human or any known creatures. Kenneth's daughter, who had been reviewing the footage later, was the first to spot it.
Show you the zoomed in clip. And then after the zoomed in clip, I will stabilize the zoomed in clip. I just wanted to...
Initially, Kenneth had missed it. But once she pointed it out, Kenneth realized the gravity of what he had captured. The footage was grainy, but the figure was undeniable. Was this a person? A huge one, maybe, but the way it moved didn't match anything human. Was it Bigfoot? Could it be? No one was certain, but the video was beyond anything normal.
Okay.
As the video zoomed in and stabilized, the figure became even clearer. It stood taller than any man, its shape wide, bipedal, almost like a football player wearing full gear, but without any equipment. And then the most shocking part of the footage.
You're kind of walking around and then boom, up into a tree. It's just crazy. That thing's huge.
It climbed the tree with the strength and mobility of something far more powerful than any human. The zoomed-in, stabilized video revealed the incredible sight once more. The figure's movement was fluid, and the strength it showed defied what should be possible. Whatever it wasn't like anything they had ever encountered before. Bigfoot or not, it's big, it's fast, and it's up in a tree. That was the final thought as the team reviewed the footage once more. But one thing was clear as day.
Very Bigfooty. It's out of the ordinary, unusual. If that's a...
The truth was out there, and this was a clue, an important one. Kenneth had captured something that, no matter the answer, no one could ignore.
More time. Amazing footage. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for sending this in to us, Kenneth.
What if the creatures we've all dismissed as myths are actually just hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to be noticed? Diesel in New Jersey isn't your average outdoor channel. They aren't just here for the hike. They're here to take you into the unknown. Boots on the ground, cameras rolling, capturing what most of us wouldn't even believe. This time they return to Area 4, deep in the woods of New Jersey.
It's the second dead animal we've seen here.
Where?
It's over here at the squirrel.
Squirrel?
Yeah.
A place they've visited before. A place known for strange sounds, unexplained figures, and something that seems to be watching from the trees. Come take a walk with them and see for yourself. As they step off the beaten path, the forest is still, too still. The kind of silence that presses on your ears. Then, suddenly someone mutters, "What's that?" Just barely off trail, something shifts. The group stops. Eyes scan the brush, but the answer comes back too quickly. It's a log. Maybe, maybe not. The shape blended too easily into the environment, suspiciously still, like something frozen in mid-motion. Watch for yourself.
A blue balloon over here. Watch this line. See, like blue balloon.
Tension breaks for a moment when someone calls out, "I think I see that animal we seen here." Whatever they saw wasn't a squirrel, but the reference shifts quickly. First squirrel, then, "I see a blue balloon." A child's party decoration out here in the middle of nowhere? Odd, but it's not the first time they've seen it. "The weird thing I visit every time I come here," someone remarks. A spot known to hold on to strangeness like a magnet. Then things get weirder. A squirrel leaps toward the camera, landing near someone's face. Jarring, random, almost symbolic. But it's dismissed as coincidence. Still, the moment shakes the mood. Nature's being chaotic. Or maybe it's being used as a distraction. Another group member casually says, "Look at that axe."
Spray rubber in my face. Ugh. It's on my glasses. You get it? Don't touch the lenses.
But it's not just any axe. It's placed, not dropped, like it's been used or displayed. Right then, something shifts in the camera's focus. Watch for yourself. Between two trees wedged into the bark is a large shape. It's massive, brown, and doesn't move a muscle. Not windblown, not vibrating like the leaves around it. A brown, hairy giant. Almost part of the tree, almost carved from it. But the outline is too defined. Shoulders too wide. The camera lingers, unsure. Is this the moment? Is this a Sasquatch? Or a Yeti?
What's that poop? Big ass eggs.
What stands out isn't just the shape, but the stillness. It's too still. Whatever it is, it's watching, or hiding. And Diesel in New Jersey's team knows they've seen something not quite right. They don't scream, they don't run, they observe. They study. That's what makes their footage matter. They return to this area time and again because it gives them something. Patterns, symbols, and encounters that are just clear enough to keep you awake at night. Watch for yourself. As they move on, the team remains quiet, reflective. Even playful moments, mentioning poop, joking about squirrels, are just noise covering the unease, because once you see something that shouldn't be there, everything else starts to feel like a setup, a test. The forest begins to feel staged, like you're being watched from the wings of a play you didn't know you were in. This isn't a film set. There's no CGI, no scripted jump scare, just raw footage. A still figure near a tree that no one can quite explain. Balloons in the woods, squirrels acting strange. Objects out of place. These aren't isolated incidents, they're layers of the same mystery.
Like blue balloon. And then the weird thing I visit every time I come in.
And every time Diesel in New Jersey returns, something new gets added to that puzzle. Watch for yourself. Not every video ends with a scream or a chase. Sometimes the silence is the scariest thing, the quiet after the encounter, the moment when the footage stops and the mind takes over. And that's exactly what this channel captures. Those subtle but chilling pieces that hint at a larger presence just beyond our understanding. The camera may turn off, but the woods don't forget, and neither will you. Watch again. See what you missed the first time. Maybe that log wasn't a log. Maybe it blinked. What if something's been living just beyond the tree line, watching us, but never making itself fully known? On the quiet edges of New York's Long Island, one man is asking that very question every day. Mike Colantonio, founder of the Long Island Bigfoot YouTube channel, is not your average Sasquatch hunter. He's a military veteran turned boots-on-the-ground researcher with a unique approach.
The most notable was they were just walking the trails.
He doesn't chase monsters. He builds trust. Instead of casting doubt, Mike casts gifts. Fruit, pastries, and even candy are left behind in remote forested areas in hopes that something or someone will accept his offering. But today's investigation, this one's different. Mike isn't in the dense woods or a mountain pass. He's on private farmland because someone called him in. Something strange was happening on this property, and it had been happening for years.
There was a tree, or they thought was a tree, right? Like a big tree that was just...
Watch for yourself as Mike begins surveying the farm perimeter and captures a strange structure deep in the tree line. A twisted, bent arch that resembles what researchers call a break. A structure commonly associated with Sasquatch territory markers.
Most of what's going on is audible. just hearing things that...
The landowner had told Mike something chilling. One night, while working outside, they saw what they first thought was a tree, but it moved, slowly, like it had intent, like it was watching them.
Fox in here forever. They've had birds of prey in here forever.
Mike listens carefully, never jumping to conclusions, but he knows what they saw lines up with classic Sasquatch behavior: perfect stillness, camouflage, and deliberate observation. As he walks the property, Mike stops near a gifting site he's visited before. What he finds there makes him pause. An old bait pile, tampered with. Something had taken the fruit, but not in a way a raccoon would. No gnaw marks, just gone.
Look at this. This is very typical. Not 10 feet off trail, we have...
He notices subtle changes in the ground cover, crushed grass, broken stems, and he marks these signs mentally. A trained eye like Mike's doesn't just look for footprints, he looks for patterns. Watch for yourself as Mike quietly scans the brush.
And Snowload doesn't take trees and bend them under other trees.
And catches sight of movement behind the trees. It's fast, barely noticeable, but unmistakable to those who know what to look for.
It's back there. Right in that area. The best part about this place is I always have it to myself.
Moments later, Mike addresses something odd about the forest's energy. He's not alone. There's a distinct, almost emotional pressure. If you've followed his channel, you know he talks about this often, what he calls the quiet presence.
That would be like the tree right there, right? That they described, but it was darker. They said it was like a...
Suddenly, he stops. There's a structure near the base of a tree. 3 large limbs woven together like a low tent, not naturally fallen, placed. Mike kneels, examines it. This isn't wind damage, it's intentional. The type of formation seen time and again in Bigfoot hotspots. He documents everything but touches nothing. Then comes the audio.
We've seen that with the dogmen too. If I can find that photo, I'll drop it in here.
Off camera, the dogs from the nearby farm begin to bark, but not at Mike. Their attention is somewhere else, deeper into the woods. And then, a thud. Watch for yourself as Mike captures a distant knock. One, then a second, like wood striking wood. It echoes just enough to seem deliberate, as if answering the dogs. This is one of the most commonly reported Sasquatch behaviors, tree knocking.
I remember I was standing in this general area, looking up that way, and there's a ridge that goes up and over, and there was a...
Later in the video, Mike references something unusual, the possibility of a dogman. It's a cryptid many researchers hesitate to even mention, but he doesn't mock the idea.
Big orb. Confused me for a minute, to be honest with you.
He reflects on the shape described by the landowner, a tall, upright figure with a more angular face. Could this land be home to more than one mystery? Mike doesn't try to convince the viewer. He lets the evidence breathe.
Probably a deer. Actually, there's a game trail right there.
His voice is calm, observant, and always respectful, toward the land, the people, and whatever else may be listening.
How many people talk about these things and try to communicate them, and then just because it's on the news?
As the sun lowers, Mike offers one last gift to the woods, an apple, and places it gently at the base of a tree. He thanks the forest. Then he leaves. There are no flashy endings here, just questions, a sense that something real happened.
they watched the video of that part. I give them the highlight reels of it. And,
but not loud enough for the world to hear it all at once. Watch for yourself as Mike exits the forest line and looks back one last time. He pauses, watching something only he can see. For those seeking real, respectful Sasquatch research grounded in experience and quiet observation, Long Island, Bigfoot offers something rare, a voice of calm in a field filled with noise.
There's stuff whistling over here. That might be a bird, but back that way there's something mimicking. So on this side there was like...
Could this farm be a meeting point between two worlds? What else might be roaming the edges of our known reality? Unseen, but not absent.
We're gonna have to come back here a few times because I forgot how good this spot is in the winter.
Now let's switch coasts, way out in Georgia, on a warm, clear night lit by a full moon. The kind of night that should feel peaceful, safe, but for Jamie Wilkerson, it turned into a nightmare. It was around 11:30 p.m. when her boyfriend dropped her off at the top of a long dirt road that led to her house. It's the kind of place where the trees lean in close, where the light barely touches the ground. Jamie started walking, alone. The only sound was the gravel crunching beneath her shoes. Then, crack. Something heavy stepped into the woods behind her. She stopped, listened, silence. She kept walking, a little faster now, and then she heard it again, this time closer. Heavy steps, deliberate. Something was following her, keeping pace, just out of sight. She glanced over her shoulder, and that's when she saw it. About 10 feet behind her, half shrouded by the trees, was a creature straight out of a nightmare. It looked like a gorilla at first, huge, bulky, walking upright.
I was walking all the way down to my house, and I heard a big, loud, heavy animal. It looked like a big gorilla.
But the more she stared, the more wrong it looked. It had long arms, almost dragging the ground. The chest was broad like a linebacker. Its face was partly in shadow, but the eyes, they shone in the moonlight. Reflective. Not like an animal, more like a person with no soul. Jamie froze, clutching the cross around her neck. She whispered a prayer, any prayer. Then she turned and walked faster, resisting every urge to break into a sprint.
When I just turned around, grabbed my necklace, and just prayed, please, God. I just knew that it was something to get away from.
She could hear it behind her, the slow, steady thud of feet on dirt, not running, not growling, just following. She said it was like it wanted her to know it was there, that it could catch her any second, but chose not to. Jamie didn't look back again.
I moved all the way over to that side of the road, and then I walked maybe 10 feet down, turned to look behind me. It was just following me with its head just all the way down the road. And I just turned around and never looked back.
She kept her eyes forward, focused on the soft glow of her porch light through the trees. Every step felt like it took hours. Her breath came in short gasps. And the air? It felt heavier the closer it got. When she finally reached her house, she slammed the door shut, locked every window, and stood in the hallway shaking. Her hands wouldn't stop trembling. She peeked out later. Nothing. But that feeling never left. She described the creature's features later on, and it's horrifying.
You could clearly make out the whole silhouette of it. You could tell that it was shoulders coming forward.
The head was too large for its body, almost swollen. Its shoulders hunched unnaturally. The fur was long, shaggy, caked in mud, and its mouth slightly open. No sound, just the faint glimmer of yellow teeth beneath a lipless grin. It didn't attack, it didn't charge, but somehow, that made it worse. Jamie says she never walks alone at night anymore. That road? She avoids it like the plague, because she knows something's out there, and it saw her. 2 different states, 2 very different people, but the same terrifying message. Bigfoot isn't just a campfire story. It's out there, watching, moving silently through the woods. And when it decides to show itself, it doesn't need to roar or chase. It just appears, calm, patient, like it's been waiting. So if you ever find yourself walking through the woods alone, listen, watch the tree line. Because when the forest goes quiet, you're not alone, and whatever's out there already knows where you are. The clock strikes 12:23 a.m. The dense forests of Wisconsin are cloaked in darkness, the canopy above swallowing any residual light.
It's gonna look for prints.
Larry and I were talking about prints in the mud and wondering if prints in the mud only happen on accident.
The air is thick with anticipation. As Matt Moneymaker, Bobo, and Larry Dopke, seasoned members of the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, BFRO,
I think they may happen on purpose sometimes.
Well, I don't step in mud because I don't like to have muddy feet.
embark on a nocturnal expedition. Their mission to uncover evidence of the elusive Sasquatch. Armed with flashlights, recording equipment, and an unwavering determination, they delve deeper into the woods, their senses heightened with every step.
They don't blink.
Barefoot or not? You don't think so?
They avoid mud because they don't want to leave tracks, not because they care about stepping in mud.
Yeah, but on other occasions, they might purposefully leave tracks.
As they navigate the uneven terrain, the trio discusses recent findings, unusual footprints, broken branches, and distant howls that defy explanation. The forest, silent yet alive, seems to watch their every move. They try to get a reaction by copying sounds they think Bigfoot might make. They laugh while trying different noises, clearly enjoying each other's company, even though it's a little scary.
Remember how you used to do the yoo-hoo?
Yeah.
Like a real sultry, beckoning, loud yoo-hoo.
First of all, yoo-hoo is not sultry, but I'll do a yoo-hoo.
Well,
Then, out of nowhere, a loud, high sound breaks the silence of the night. The laughter fades, replaced by a tense silence. The forest responds with an eerie stillness, as if holding its breath. Determined to investigate further, Matt proposes the Inchworm technique, a methodical approach where team members leapfrog each other to cover more ground while maintaining stealth.
about 100 yards, I will snap for you, then you guys can go past me again. The inchworm is when one part moves ahead first and then stops, and then the other part catches up.
Matt, I'll go ahead about 500 yards. Once I signal, you guys move past me. We'll keep doing this pattern. This strategy allows them to advance deeper into the woods without alerting potential creatures to their presence.
That way. That's not a loon. Doesn't sound like a loon. It doesn't sound like the coyote noise that was made.
Each movement is calculated, each pause filled with anticipation. As they proceed, the forest begins to reveal its secrets. Faint rustlings, distant knocks, and fleeting shadows suggest they are not alone. The team remains vigilant, documenting every anomaly.
Sticks dragging across each other.
Shh, listen. Listen.
Shh.
Hold on. Did you hear that, Matt?
The realization sends a chill down their spines. The possibility that a Sasquatch is observing them becomes increasingly plausible. As dawn approaches, the team regroups, reflecting on the night's events. While they didn't capture definitive evidence,
Area where a Bigfoot would feel very comfortable because there's a zillion places where it can be out of view very quick.
the experience reinforces their belief in the existence of Bigfoot. The Wisconsin woods hold many secrets, and for Matt, Bobo, and Larry, this night adds another chapter to their ongoing quest. Their dedication exemplifies the human spirit's relentless pursuit of the unknown, reminding us that some mysteries are worth chasing, even in the darkest of nights.
Imitate Matt's coyote. It was definitely odd.
I think there's something up here, man. There's so many little tidbits here and there over the last couple years in particular.
It was the end of summer, the kind of warm, quiet night that wraps the forest in stillness. Joe Coca and Vanessa Gutierrez wanted to squeeze in one last camping trip before the season changed. They picked a private spot in the New Mexico wilderness, parked their vehicle, set up camp, and let the night fall around them. The air was cool, stars blanketed the sky, and the forest was calm. Peaceful, almost too peaceful.
Sasquatch they encountered that night, that's also super important because that's another report from that same cluster, that same area.
They eventually fell asleep in their vehicle, comforted by the soft sounds of nature around them. But at 1:30 in the morning, that calm shattered. Joe woke up suddenly. Something had touched the front of their car. He felt a soft thump and heard it through the metal. At first he thought it might be a curious animal, maybe a deer or a raccoon, but then it moved.
It makes its way around the vehicle where we have all of our food.
I saw a tall, dark, broad figure, and it just walked right up against the truck.
The sound of something heavy brushing past the side of the car, slow, deliberate. It wasn't scampering or scurrying, it walked, on 2 feet, and it was circling them. Joe held his breath. Vanessa sat up too, eyes wide, listening. She looked out the window, and that's when she saw it. A tall, broad figure, just barely illuminated by the faint moonlight filtering through the trees. It was huge, its frame blocking part of the woods behind it. No fur patterns, no clothes, just dark, towering, human-like, but not human.
She starts crying. She says, I want to get out of here now. So I jump in the front seat and we pull out and head towards Highway 4.
Vanessa's voice trembled as she whispered, I saw it. She started to cry, pure panic setting in. It wasn't on 4 legs. It was standing, 2 feet. It wasn't an animal, it wasn't human either. Joe knew they couldn't stay.
My whole life, so I've heard lots of animals, and when it walked by, it wasn't like a 4-legged animal. It was standing upright, walking, you know.
He quickly got into the driver's seat, grabbed the keys, and started the car. The headlights turned on, and for a moment they saw a shadow move past. They didn't look back. The tires kicked up dirt as they sped down the road, headlights lighting up the trees, their hearts beating fast with fear. They didn't stop until they hit the highway, miles away from the campsite. Silence filled the car. Shock, disbelief, and that heavy question neither of them could shake. What the hell did we just see?
Numerous accounts by people that say Sasquatches come into campsites and go through their food. We're gonna try to figure out the size of this prowler by putting Vanessa in the same position she was that night when she saw the thing.
To this day, Joe and Vanessa remain shaken by the encounter. Neither one believes it was a bear or mountain lion. It was too tall, too upright, and too deliberate. The way it moved, the way it watched them. It felt intelligent, a predator, but one not from any field guide or textbook. Bigfoot? Sasquatch? Something else entirely?
About there.
Right about here?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna raise my hand up, and when my hand reaches the level where you think the thing's shoulders were, yell stop.
Okay. Stop.
Okay.
6'3".
Top of the shoulders, 6'3".
Maybe some questions don't have answers. But one thing's for sure, Joe and Vanessa won't ever camp in those woods again. And after hearing their story, would you? It was the last day at hunt camp. The sun was high, casting golden beams through the dense canopy of trees. Birds chirped overhead. The forest was quiet, too quiet. No wind, no elk, just stillness, like the woods were holding their breath. One of the hunters, an experienced outdoorsman, decided to set up his blind near an old elk wallow, a muddy depression where bulls often roll and thrash to mark their scent. It was the perfect spot, or so he thought. He sat patiently, surrounded by thick trees and tall whispering grass. The forest had that midday calm, the kind that makes you feel like you're the only one alive for miles. But little did he know, he wasn't alone. No elk showed up, not a single snap of a branch or distant bugle. Just silence. Until something moved. Less than 30 feet away, a massive figure stepped into view, upright, powerful, and completely out of place in the peaceful scenery. The hunter froze, his eyes widened. He wasn't looking at a bear, or a moose, or any creature known to this forest. It was walking on two legs, towering, broad-shouldered, its limbs too long, its gait too smooth to be human. The thing was covered in dark, matted hair, blending almost perfectly into the shadows. But the sunlight caught just enough to expose muscle, mass, and movement. The hunter instinctively raised his camera, hands shaking, but managed to catch clear footage. He whispered, "What is that?" Barely able to believe what he was seeing. The beast didn't seem scared. In fact, it looked like it had been watching him all along. At exactly 2:21 p.m., as he stepped out of the blind to inspect the area, his boots crunched into something strange in the mud. Tracks, big ones, nearly twice the size of a man's foot. Deep impressions, clear, unmistakable toes. The stride was too long to be a person faking it. His heart pounded in his chest. He crouched low, tracing the print with his finger, the size and depth sending chills up his spine. This wasn't just an encounter. It was evidence. A single question echoed in his head. Was that Bigfoot? The forest had returned to silence, but it felt different now, like something just beneath the surface was watching, waiting. He packed up slowly, eyes scanning the trees, every crack of a twig behind him making his skin crawl. He left that forest with more than just footage. He left with a story, one that blurred the line between myth and reality. And though he made it out safely, he'll never forget the moment he locked eyes with something not meant to be found. Would you? 8 stories, 8 different people, but one chilling thread connects them all. They weren't alone. In the darkest corners of our forests, something is out there. It doesn't growl to scare you. It doesn't chase to catch you. It just waits and watches. Maybe Bigfoot is a myth. Maybe it's a warning we've ignored for too long. But if you ever find yourself alone in the woods, and the birds go quiet, and the trees begin to lean in, just remember, some legends walk, and they don't always walk away.